Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my collection and declutter video for my eyeshadow palettes. And I haven't done YouTube for makeup in a long time, so you guys don't really know what is in my collection. So I thought, what better way is it to just do a collection and a declutter video all in once, and so you can see what I have in my collection. So I haven't really been doing much makeup on my day-to-day life because I don't wear makeup to work, and it's just like, also when I'm not at work and I go out, I kind of do something more neutral and toned down. I'm going to try to be very realistic with myself and declutter basically everything that I don't use. So first off, I'm going to start with this pile right here. I'm not decluttering anything in this pile because this is all of my new eyeshadow palettes that I got for like Black Friday, or just had prior to Black Friday, but these I got all on sale, so I'm not getting rid of these. These are like brand new, like I have not even touched any of them. This is the Anastasia Noveo. I don't know what this eyeshadow palette is called, honestly. But yeah, this is new. Same thing with this Glaminatrix Nocturnal eyeshadow palette. It's brand new. I have not used it. This Glamlight Chocolate Martini. This Chucky and Glamlight eyeshadow palette. I actually just started using this, and this is how I track like what eyeshadows I use, and then I make a post on it on Instagram with every single eyeshadow look that I've done with this palette, and then I review the palette. So that's what I'm working on right now. I got all of these for a really good price on Black Friday, like basically half off or more than half off. This is I Need a Nude. I actually got this one for free with Ulta points. Sunrise, I got this one like for $28 on BoxyCharm / Ipsy. Bronze, I got this one from the Natasha Denona website. This was like, the price was like 2 for 1, I believe, for this one and Glam on Black Friday. Then I got Yuka with I Need a Nude from Ulta, and I used my points, so I didn't pay for them. Then Retro Glam was like $27 from Sephora. They had it on sale for Black Friday. Retro was also from Beauty Bay it was from BoxyCharm / Ipsy, like their shop. And lastly, my dream palette. We're starting with just this size right here. This is the Shroud Arcana eyeshadow palette, and this is not how it originally comes. It had blues and greens, but I'm not really a fan of blues and greens, so I kind of made it like this. And I actually love this palette. It's my favorite palette from Shroud Cosmetics, and it's not gonna go anywhere. Same thing with this Tribe eyeshadow palette. I actually really love this palette from Juvia's Place, and I think they discontinued this palette, so it's not gonna go anywhere. I'm starting off so bad, but I promise that it's gonna get better. But it's just like, I do really love these palettes. Stone Cold Fox from ColourPop. This is like a really nice eyeshadow palette and everything, but honestly, I can declutter this because I don't reach for it. I have smaller palettes from ColourPop that are neutrals, and the quality in this is really nice. It's just, if I'm not going to be using something, I would rather just get rid of it. Same thing with this Blend Bunny, the Dollhouse palette. It's a gorgeous eyeshadow palette. I finished every look, like using every column in here. I did a look and it was amazing. The quality was phenomenal, but same thing. It's like, if I'm not going to be using something, I'm not going to be keeping it. So, getting rid of that one as well. Norvina, I think this is volume 5. Yeah, volume 5. Why can I not open this? Okay. I took the glitter out. These came with glitters, and I'm not a fan of using glitters on your eyes, so I did the glitter. I just put a needle in, poked it out, and threw it away. I really like this palette, and I don't really have like true purples like this in my collection, so I am gonna be keeping this one. Same thing with the Norvina Volume 4, I think this is what it is. It's pinks. This one had 2 glitters. I did throw them away. And I am going to be keeping this one as well because I don't have a lot of good pinks in my collection. I decluttered basically all my pink palettes. So I'm going to keep this one because its quality is really good. This is the Nikkie Tutorials and Beauty Bay eyeshadow palette. And every time I use this palette, I do the same look, which is literally like using these 3 shimmer pinks, this pink and this burgundy shade. And I feel like I have those tones in other palettes, so I think I'm gonna declutter it because for 5 eyeshadows, I'm not gonna keep a whole palette that big anyways. Alright, this little ColourPop Quint, I'm gonna declutter it as well. It's cute and everything, like the quality is fine, but this is the Too Hot. I'm gonna be getting rid of it as well. Alright, let's just go through this little pile right here. This is gonna be my Natasha Denona. This is the only Quint that I have from Natasha Denona. This is the Camel palette. I really like this one, so I'm gonna be keeping it. Alright, the Taupes by Juvia's Place. This is a nice little palette. I think I'm gonna keep it. I like it, and yeah. Jouer Ultra Foils. This is a nice little palette. I actually got this was like one of the first gifts my boyfriend gave me for my birthday when we first started dating. So I'm gonna be keeping it more so for the sentimental value than like the purpose. Like I don't really use this palette, I don't really reach for it, but because it was the first like birthday we celebrated together, I'm gonna be keeping it. This is the Cupcake palette, Red Velvet Cupcake palette from Glamlight. I'm gonna be decluttering this as well. I think it's a nice palette, like the quality is nice, but again, I just prefer the Anastasia Volume 4 over that one. This is the Odin's Eye and Judy collab palette. I am keeping this. This is really, really nice. This was my favorite one. I purchased all 3 of them, and this is my favorite one out of the 3, so I'm gonna be keeping it. Nabla Dreamy 2. This is my favorite palette. Like I love this palette. I used to use this palette like every single day when I used to wear makeup to work when I had a different job, and I love this palette, so I'm not gonna get rid of it. Alright, Limoncello. This palette doesn't come like this. If you buy this palette, looks so ugly. If you buy this palette from ColourPop, there's a blue eyeshadow right here. I popped that blue eyeshadow out and I threw it away. And I just pressed this green shadow in there. I prefer this green eyeshadow. Honestly, it's like a brownish green. It's so pretty. I think I'm gonna keep this one because I'm getting rid of a lot of other ColourPop palettes. I think I'm gonna keep that one because that one, the quality is nice on that one. Here are like my little 9pan palettes. I actually really like the pastels, the lilac pastels palette from Huda Beauty. I think this is a nice little palette, so I'm gonna keep it. Same thing with Khaki Haze. I think this is a really nice quality palette. Hip hand. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this one as well. And the Neon Pink, I know that this like had a lot of like bad reviews and stuff, but this one is actually really good. I like it a lot, so I'm gonna keep it. I know it, like, I don't know if there was like a lawsuit or something, I don't know. That's Taupe from ColourPop. This is like my favorite ColourPop palette, so this is not gonna go anywhere. I love this palette, and because I love this palette so much is why I bought Stone Cold Fox, but a billion times prefer this one than that one, so keeping this one and getting rid of the other one. The Star Wars Mandalorian. What is this? Oh no, this is Darth Vader. So the Darth Vader palette. This is actually really, really nice as well. So I'm keeping it. It's really, really nice. And I just got this palette, Coffee Talk, from Sydney Grace, and I think they discontinued this palette, but this palette is so good. Like, I know it's just neutrals. I'm like keeping like every neutral palette, and that's so boring, but I'm sorry. Alright, this pile. This is the Midas Cosmetics and Smoky Glow eyeshadow palette. Midas Cosmetics is no longer a brand, and so this palette obviously has ceased to exist. But my boyfriend actually bought me this during COVID when I lost my job. So this kind of has like a lot of sentimental value as well, because he bought me something when I couldn't afford anything. So I really like this palette as well. I mean, it's not like the best formula that I've ever tried, but it is a nice palette and I'm gonna keep it. Mercury Retrograde. This is another one that he purchased for me during COVID when I didn't have a job. And I really like this palette. I'm not a fan of blues, like I've said already, but the neutrals and the light pinks in this palette are really nice. So yeah, I'm not gonna declutter any of my Huda Beauty palettes. So Rose Quartz, Naughty Nude, probably my favorite one. And Empowered, I have not even used this one yet. This one is brand new. I have to use this one. But I'm not getting rid of any of the Huda bigger palettes because I feel like her formula in these are way better than the little ones. So okay, Nearly Natural from Glaminatrix. I really like this palette as well. I would rather declutter Nocturnal. I mean, I haven't used it yet, but if I had to declutter one Glaminatrix palette, it would not be this one. So I'm keeping this one. The Natasha Denonas. Okay, gold. I am for sure keeping gold. I took the blues out of this one and just put neutrals in here. Keeping this one. It's like literally my favorite palette, so keeping it. Now this one, I don't use this palette at all, so I think honestly I'm gonna declutter this one. This is the Sunset eyeshadow palette, and I think I'm getting rid of that one. Lila's. I actually do enjoy this one. I know that it doesn't really have much mattes, but it's a really nice palette, so I actually really like this one. I've done a couple looks with it, and I think it's just like, it's purple, but it's very wearable and muted, so like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep this one. Alright, Trio Chrome. I thought I was gonna love this palette more than I do. I don't love this palette, actually. That's what I'm trying to say. The only row that I like in this palette is this one down here, and the other two I don't not like at all. Like these greens, I feel like they don't really mix well with each other. I feel like maybe because these two shades are too similar, like we could have gotten something different, maybe something darker here and maybe something like in the middle between these two. Like, I guess just this color kind of throws off these colors, and I don't like it. And the shimmers in here are just like whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna declutter this one as well. This one though, alright, we all know that I'm gonna keep Biba. It's just a neutral palette, and it's really nice, and I read for it all the time, so keeping it. Nude Prism from Lunar Beauty. I actually decluttered Strawberry Dreams, which I had recently, and I kept this one. Oop, sorry. I kept this one because it's just a neutral palette, and it's actually really nice. These shimmers are all really fantastic, so I'm gonna keep this one. No surprise there, right? Okay. Here, I think I'm gonna declutter all of this. I had kind of put this to the side already before, but yeah, I think I'm gonna declutter this entire pile. This is the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes, and even though this is a neutral palette, I don't ever reach for this, like ever. And it's a beautiful palette. Like when I do use this palette, it's beautiful, but I don't reach for it. And I like want to just like be like, psych, I'm not decluttering it, but you know what? Let's just say, yeah, let's do that. Let's just say, psych, I'm not decluttering, I'm keeping it. But everything else here, I think I am decluttering. The Hocus Pocus eyeshadow palette. This is a really, really nice palette, y'all. I know that I won't reach for it, so I just rather declutter it. This one is also really nice. I actually need to find out how this palette is again, because I have all of my Animal Crossing and I mix some colors up. Like some of these colors aren't from Animal Crossing, so I'll put them back how they go and then I'll declutter this palette. This is the KKW Classic number 2. I feel like this palette is really nice. The formula from KKW was actually really nice. KKW Beauty. I have these colors in better formula. Not saying that this is a bad formula. I think this is a really nice formula. But I just have it in better and I'm gonna declutter it as well. These are all my single eyeshadows. And I really told myself that I like singles. And I went on this craze of shopping for singles and I don't like singles, y'all. I don't reach for them. So I am going to be decluttering these. They're beautiful. I'm not a singles person. I rather just use a palette than use singles. That's just me. So that is also being decluttered. And the last pile. This is the last pile of palettes. I have the Animal Crossing palettes as well, like I said, from ColourPop, but I'm gonna keep them. And I keep them more for collector's purposes and not really because they're amazing. Because they're not amazing. They're just okay. This is She's in Parties from Milk Cosmetics. And I actually really, really like this palette. So I'm gonna be keeping her. Alright, this is another one that I don't use, but I'm gonna keep because it was a gift from my boyfriend. So this is the Impulsive eyeshadow palette and it was a gift, so I'm not getting rid of it. It's so chunky and heavy, but I'm gonna keep it. Urban Decay. This is the Naked Honey, and I actually really like this palette. I am not a Urban Decay Naked palette person. Never have been. I have tried to get into it. Never was. But this one is actually really, really nice. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep it. Kaleidos Flower Punk. This is also my only Kaleidos palette. And this was also a gift from my boyfriend for one of my birthdays. And I'm gonna keep it. I don't recall like really ever using this palette either. So I never really gave it a chance. But I mostly keep it because it was a gift, not because I love the palette. This is the Anastasia Norvina palette / Amrezy palette. I kept all my favorite shades from Amrezy and Norvina and I just put it in one palette. And I actually really do love this palette, so I'm keeping it. It's a little messy, but it's fine. This is the KKW Beauty Camel palette, I think. Yeah, Camel. This is actually really nice. This is a really nice eyeshadow palette. Honestly, probably the best KKW palette ever. And I'm keeping it. Alright, Anastasia. This is the Primrose palette. And this palette is what made me want to try more newer Anastasia palettes because this quality was phenomenal. I'm glad to see Anastasia do her thing again because this palette, the quality is amazing. I love this little palette. More Melts Cosmetics. This is the Rust eyeshadow palette. I really like this one a lot, so I'm gonna be keeping it. 420. I like this palette. It was also a gift from my boyfriend, so I'm definitely keeping it. and Gemini. This was my first palette from Milk Cosmetics, and I got this when it launched, so I'm keeping it. It was my first Milk palette, and I got it at launch. I remember like the anxiety of ordering that palette, so I'm keeping it. This is Ninhydrin from Adept Cosmetics, and honestly, I love this. Like, I love looking at this palette. This palette is so beautiful, but I think I'm gonna declutter it. I don't reach for it, and yeah, I think so. Okay, Plain Jane. I'm keeping this one though. Like, I adore this palette. It's phenomenal. I am keeping this one. No questions asked. And lastly, 1991 from BH Cosmetics. This is a really nice quality palette. I think I'm gonna keep it, y'all. Yeah, that is everything basically. Now this is everything that I am getting rid of. I don't even know how many palettes it is, but I'll count real quick. So basically like 13 palettes if you count the 2 single palettes, and then I don't know how many I kept, but I'll put it up on the screen. So I took the microphone out of the camera, so it might sound different now than earlier, so I'm sorry about that. Let's put this palette in. Alright, that is the organized drawer. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.